Well, hey guys, welcome back to the shop. Hey, we've got an engine to work on tonight. I came from a buddy of mine in Pennsylvania. Max, we're gonna get started on your engine. I'll bring the box up, we'll put it right here, we'll open it up, and we'll see what we've got inside. Okay, well, the other night, I was sitting out here in the shop working on, that generator right there, and my phone rang. It was a buddy of mine from Pennsylvania named Max, and he's got an engine. He's having problems getting it to run, and I kind of talked him through it. He decided, you know what, I'll just send it to you. And so we're going to take a look at it. We'll get it running for him, and we'll send it back. So let's see what we got inside. And we've got an instruction manual, which is always great. We're going to get this engine out of here and take a look at it. I'm excited to see it. Let me get it out of the box here. I'll set it back down. You guys don't have to watch me get it out. Alright. He did a great job of packaging it. Get it ripped open here. I'll bring you guys in. Take a look at it. Look at that, guys. Very cool. This is the H74. We don't have a twin cylinder. We've got the single and the 4, but not the twin. So let me get you pulled in. We'll get a look at it together and see what we got to do. Well, there. How's that? Let's see what we've got going on here. We'll make sure that we don't have anything. We're going to turn it over. Get our hoses out of the way so we don't run them through the belt. Let's doesn't feel like we got a whole heck of a lot of compression, and that was his assumption too, is it's low on compression. So what we're gonna do is we'll get it on top dead. We're just gonna check. Our valves are not holding open, so we don't think we have a valve issue, but we'll turn this over. Okay, we do have a little bit of vacuum on there. We'll take our breather cap off of here, turn it over. We're going to listen for blow by. And I can hear some blow by. I don't know, maybe the rings aren't seated in yet. He said that he had spun it over and he got it to pop maybe a couple times, and that's about it. And it sure doesn't feel like we've got a whole lot for compression. That's kind of unfortunate, but it's no big deal. He was nice enough to send everything that came with it, and I'll get my hand out of your way. But he did include spare piston rings, so if we need to put some rings in it, well, we can do that, right? So, all right. Well, I guess we need to get busy, right? Let me start. We'll get our valve train off up here. We'll get our heads off, and we're going to look to make sure. I can't imagine that it would be out of time, but we are going to verify that our valves are in time. So let me I'll get these plugs out of here first, and then we'll go from there. So let me get busy. All right, well, I have our plugs out of here and our ignition is off. Yeah. I'm not sure that our timing isn't off, because I can feel it wanting to suck in on my finger instead of blow out, which is kind of odd. But unfortunately, these cylinder heads are so thick, it's hard to see down inside to see where our piston's at. I guess what we could do is we could take this side cover off and look in the side of it here. Let's pull that side cover off of there. Okay, well, hopefully that glare isn't too bad. I'll get these plug wires tucked in here just to get them out of our way. We'll pull this side cover off the side of here, and we'll look in, and then we ought to be able to see where our pistons are, and then we can tell that with the relationship of where our lifters are. Look inside here. Oh, well, look at that, guys. This is a lot like that twin cylinder horizontal cylinder that we worked on, the pistons run together. You see that? It's not a staggered crank where one's at top dead and the other's at bottom dead. They both run up and down together. So, knowing that, let's see here. Okay, our direction of rotation is this way. Our outer valves are the exhaust, the inners are the intake. So let's check that out. We're looking at this in here. It's coming up on, and our exhaust is open. It goes closed, and our intake is opening, and it goes closed. So we know that's in time, and unless the crank or the cam is broken, this in here will be in time too. So we're at top dead. Now this one's coming down, and our intake is open. At bottom dead, power stroke, and now our exhaust is coming up. So I think that we're good. At least we know that we are in time. We still don't have diddly squat for compression though. So, all right, let's get to pulling our heads off. Okay, well, I was looking at this a little bit more, and I don't know why we have to pull the cylinder head off. We're not going to put the piston back down from the top. We're going to put it up from the bottom. We can leave our cylinder head bolted to our cylinder, and that's one less gasket we have to disturb. And let's start by getting our governor linkage off. We'll get our water manifold, our intake and exhaust manifold, and our water discharge manifold on the other side off. We ought to be able to lift these cylinders up off of here independent from one another. Let me get to it. Alright, well, we've got our exhaust manifold off, our intake manifold is off, our governor linkage is unhooked, and it's just swung over here out of the way. We'll have the carburetor bolted to it, and our water manifold is off on the other side. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take our push rods out one at a time, keep them in order, we'll lay them over here on a piece of, well, just here, see, just tape, and they won't roll all over, and we'll know in which order they go. I'm not sure that there's going to be any difference in length, but once again, why would we chance it? We'll get these off. We'll pull this cylinder off first, and then we'll pull this cylinder with the water manifold off. And then we'll see our pistons, have access to our rings. We can change them out, look inside the cylinders, and see what happens from there. Alright, well, we've got our jugs free of our cylinder. Well, I thought we had them all. I guess I've got about a half a thread left on this guy. There. We'll keep these in order. We'll pull this second one off here. Now then, let's look at our rings. I'll pull you guys in a little bit closer. We can take a look. A little bit, probably too close. This silly camera won't focus. The rings, they don't feel terrible, but we have a spare set. Well, we wouldn't just change them out. We have them. Alright, now you guys are pulled out a little bit further. Hopefully I don't bump the camera. So we're going to use to degrease it. We're just going to take a blue microfiber towel and some carbon choke cleaner. We're just going to spray it on the rag, and then we're going to wipe around it. We'll do that several times, and we'll do the same thing to the base of our cylinders down here, and yeah, we'll get it cleaned out. So when I said 515, that's a Loctite brand, or a Loctite material. This is just, it's anaerobic gasket material. It's a flange sealant. It does not, I'm not going to say that it doesn't ooze, because it will a little bit. I mean, if you put a whole pile of it on there, but you put just a film on there when both surfaces are clean, and it will make a nice thin gasket, almost virtually, it adds no space in between. and it keeps it oil tight. So I will get this all degreased. Yeah, we'll put this little guy together. Hopefully we'll get to hear it run here in just a little bit. Alright guys, well, we've got our pistons all lubed up. I don't know if you guys can see it or not, but my fingers is about as clean as it's going to get while we're working on this. But yeah, see, we do have assembly lube on there, and the bottom of our jugs we have that anaerobic gasket material. So let's get started. We'll get this guy slid on here. Make sure that we don't damage our rings. Oh, before I do that, we made sure not to have, let me show you, out of frame. We don't have any of that anaerobic material down here in our cylinder liner. We want to seal the outside, not the inside. So, all right, let me get this guy started down on there. All right. Well, that one started down real nice and easy. Let's get our second one. I'm sorry guys, my hand's in your way, but there isn't a whole lot of room on these. So we'll get this guy started down on there. Just make sure we don't damage those new rings. Okay. Get our governor linkage out of the way. We'll get these lined back up to where they need to go. Right in there. All right. Well, let me get them bolted in. I'll show you guys what we come up with here in a second. Okay, well, look, guys. We have both of our jugs bolted back down to our block, and they're not tight. You don't want to torque these down yet because, well, you see these? They still have to line up. I'll show you. These here still need to line up, and if these are bolted down tight, you run a big risk of cross-threading them. So we do have a little bit of movement. Not a whole lot. I mean, you don't need a whole bunch, but, you know, it is what it is. Let's get this manifold down here bolted down tight. And there is an O-ring behind them. They are O-ring sealed, which is really a nice feature. So we'll get this one started. And, yeah, I mean, lined right up. No big deal. But I could see, well, knowing my luck, had I not left them loose, I'd have needed to wiggle them a little bit. So, okay. I'll start putting these back together. Let me get all this cleaned up. We'll get our jugs tightened back down, and I'll clean all this excess squish out of there. And, well, I guess we'll keep moving forward on this, right? All right, I'll keep busy. As well, we've got our water manifolds back on. We've got our hoses hooked up to our water pump and our discharge to the top of our radiator. Oh, we still got our fuel line here, and, well, looks like we've got to hook up our feed to our water pump. I did notice that, you guys notice that? A little bit loose to the base. We'll tighten that up for him. But we got to put our manifolds back on. Well, once again, this is the exhaust manifold. And you can see that they are sealed with O-rings. The exhaust, you don't want it to leak, but the intake is, it's very important that you don't have a vacuum leak. So once again, you guys see the end of there? I got some of that, well, I'm sorry, there. That better? It's just synthetic grease is what it says. It's almost like Vaseline, and I think that you could probably get away with using Vaseline, but I don't know. And that will also help to hold your O-rings in. So yeah, you guys don't need to fight gravity. So with those started in there, we got a nice little coating on the front and the back side where they seal. And our manifold will just fit right inside there. Well, our intake and our exhaust manifolds are mounted. And make sure that we don't have any bindage on our governor linkage. That all feels really good. Let me get this pin stuck in here. I know that you guys can't see any of this because my hand is probably right in your way. Alright, well, I'll get that put in. we'll flip it around and we'll get our push rods back in. All right, you guys watch the balls back there, right here. Governor linkage is installed, hooked up, and working freely. Let's go to the back side of the engine here. We still have to put our push rods in. So, all right. Well, let me get the push rods in. We'll go from there. Okay, guys. Well, look. We have all of our push rods back in. And free turning. Everything looks good. We'll get our oil down in there. And for oil, I'm just using SAE 30, not non-detergent. It is a detergent oil. And we'll leave that side cover off. We'll put it in there. We'll make sure that we have just enough to where the ends of our rods here are dipping in there and slinging it around. So, all right, let me get all this bolted back down tight. I guess before we put any fluids in here, we might as well bolt the engine back down to the base, get it tight for him. So, all right, I'll get that stuff done. We'll come back, put oil in it, and get our side cover back on. And, well, guys, I guess we're ready to put some fuel in the tank. We'll verify that we do have spark and go from there. So let me keep going. We've got our engine tight to the base, and before we put anything in there, we're going to need to make sure that we have, oh, you guys can't see that, dang it. We got to make sure we put our batteries in. And I'm not sure if anybody else has had an issue with intermittent spark, but if your engine is loose on the base, you see that right there underneath that big fat dumb finger? If that's not tight, that's what grounds your ignition to the engine. So make sure that your engine is tight to the base. All right, we'll get 3 brand new batteries put in here so we know we've got a good hot spark. Well, we should have. There. All right. Well, we're back upright. Let's put one of his plugs back in. We'll stick it in there and we're going to turn it over. And yeah, we're going to listen for spark. See if we can see it. Find a spot that, there, that'll work. Oh yeah, hear that? It's a nice hot spark. Okay guys, well, I'll get them plugs back in there. Alright, we've got our plugs back in. We still have our side cover off, and we have much better compression now. So let's get our oil down in there. And we're starting off with 30 milliliters. What we're looking for is just enough to where these dippers, well, there's no dippers, but the bottom, I don't know if you guys can see them, but right where our Allen heads are dipping in. So we're going to start filling this thing up. We got 30 milliliters inside this little oil bucket right now. Get a light in there. We can see what we've got. So that's 15, and our cap is almost submerged. That might be a little bit too much, but I guess we'll see what happens, right? I'd rather see it make a mess than see it lock itself up. All right, I'll get the cover on here. We'll get our plug wires put back on. I'll spin this engine around. We'll put some fuel in it, and we'll use my drill start attachment. We'll wing it over. Hopefully we can hear a running engine tonight. So we've got coolant in the radiator. Our water pump is turning now, and we got oil in our crankcase. We need fuel in here. We've already verified we have spark, and it appears that we have compression again. Let's get some fuel in this tank. Okay. Now for fuel, it's the same thing we always use. It's VP 40 to 1, ethanol free, 94 octane. I don't know. Oh, mercy sakes. Alright, well, we've got fuel in it, so put the rest of that in there. What I was getting ready to say was, Max, I'm going to send one of these with you. You can use it for any fluid because it's all glass, and just make sure you clean it out in between. I've got, you know, a separate one for coolant and a separate one for fuel, so we don't want to mix them. If you're going to use it for both, yeah, make sure you clean it out in between. Let me grab a new shop towel. We'll clean that off. We're going to flip our switch. Guys, I think we're going to have a good running engine here. I can't wait to hear it. So, you get it cleaned up, and oh, no, we're not going to use, you know, that 2-cycle drill. We've got a brushless 20-volt DeWalt. We'll spin that. You guys can hear the engine better that way. All right, let me get it cleaned up. I'll move this over, and we'll be ready to go. Okay, guys, this is the moment we've all been waiting for. I will scoot this over, and you can see that I have not tried to start it yet because we have no fuel. Well, just by pushing that. Our fuel level is right here. We aren't even up to the carburetor yet. So we will leave our ignition switch in the off position. Oh, there, you guys see that better? We'll put these spares out of the way. We have our drill and our drill start attachment. We're going to turn it over and watch right here, and we'll see if it'll draw fuel. Doesn't appear to be drawing any fuel. I'll pull you guys in closer. Okay, watch right there at that fuel level. Not moving. Put a thumb over the carb. There. Did you guys see that shoot up? You know, from right here all the way up. Well, we know that we have fuel up to the carburetor. He did tell me that he did not adjust the carburetor on this. So that may be something that we need to do. But we know that we do have fuel all the way up to our main jet, which is, well, right there's the bottom of it. I'll get you guys pulled back out, and we'll flip that switch on. I'm not going to do anything. You guys all get to see this together. So, all right, I'll get you pulled back out. Well, there. How'd that be? Alright. Ignition switch is on. We already verified we do have ignition. Crankcase is full of oil. The radiator is not full, but just by spinning it over, I've seen it pump in. So we know that we have a little bit of time we can run this before we have to add coolant. So let's get our drill set up again. And here we go, guys. You have coolant moving. I think we do need some carburetor adjustment, but there you go. It's a runner, guys. I'll get this carburetor dialed in, and I guess I will send, you know, after I get the carburetor dialed in, I'll send that to Max first, and you guys get to see this. But hey, thank you for spending some time out here in the shop with me. If you guys enjoy this, hit that subscribe button. I'll put it there, right there. And if you guys think of anybody else that might enjoy this, let them know. I really appreciate you guys watching. Once again, you guys are great. So, well, I'll get back working on this generator. It might be something you guys want to look forward to, because I might be building a couple of those. Somebody might end up with one. So, all right. Hey, thanks, guys. You're fantastic. I'll see you guys in a day or two. All right, guys. Well, hey, we have ran this. We've ran, nearly 2 tanks of fuel through it. And start it up, cool it off. Start it up, let it cool off. And we've heat cycled it several times. Flip our switch, grab our drill, and what an amazing, fun, interesting little engine to look at. I like it, guys. Dang it. Probably gonna have to get one for myself now. Alright. Well, hey, I thought I would include this, and hey, once again, thank you for watching. You guys are fantastic. So, we'll see you soon. Cool little engine. Alright, we'll see you guys soon.